Wait. Just kidding.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Hello.
Mac Yak 85 because GT helped us.
Hello.
Thank you, GT.
It's going to be an interesting one tonight. Sound check.
Yes.
Sound check.
Yeah, sound
How
check.
many echoes
Yeah.
can we count?
Please be generous in the echo count. But yeah, so I was
Yay.
supposed to host things today, but my computer through
Oh,
my
there is
fault.
an echo.
The computer.
I said
Uh-huh.
through my
Yeah, let's blame the Mac that there's nothing wrong with.
I must have been using a previous install of OS 10 or something when I streamed it last, and so nothing was working for me. So
Oh, no,
thank
there's
you,
not.
GT, for stepping in and working his magic there.
Yes, thank
But-
you.
You can't see him, but he's actually here making the
Yes.
stream happen right
He's
now.
our
He's right
silent
there.
partner tonight.
Yep.
So how you guys doing? What's going on with you guys today?
I was
You?
just having a blast getting on your nerves as you're trying to get the show ready. Apart from that, I didn't do much.
Yeah, how come you didn't answer any of our questions we were asking you?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking to you the whole time. You
It was
rude.
that tightness in the left part of my chest that was just a little bit. Just
And
a
I
wee-
bet you
What?
forgot to send out a Twitter as well today, didn't you?
I sent out a tweet, so there you
Oh,
go.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
where the left arm tingle came from.
Actually,
So-
I think I forgot to put it on Facebook.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Well, that's GT's job. He's here. He should have done it.
I put it on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
See
Awesome.
Dana to the rescue. That's
Yeah,
good.
As you can tell, we are extremely well prepared today. For
I
this
did
show.
We are
So-
always well prepared. We do this. We've been doing this for 85 episodes. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah, we're
episode
pros.
85, obviously. So we
do this stuff
we
with
are-
our eyes closed.
Might get the hang
And
of it
today-
eventually.
We
Let's
tried
not
doing
try.
it with our eyes closed.
Oh boy. All right. So anything else going on with you guys? Any announcements or
Well,
anything like that?
I can say that I'm coming on 2 weeks of walking, so my
Woo!
health kick is,
Nice.
you know,
Is
Is
I'm
that
staying
where you
with
are?
it.
You're walking in the field.
I hope
Yeah, there you go.
Rocky's
you
just sitting
get
there
to where
waiting on
you're
that
walking soon.
thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Don't get struck by lightning, please. We don't need that.
Yeah. Oh,
So
come
we-
on.
we-
I want to be electric.
You think you're going to turn into the Flash, and you just turn into a charred corpse.
I want superpowers.
We're not ignoring you, Bruce. Your gain is a little low.
Oh, am I? Really? What the?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So we
all right.
have 784 subscribers,
What?
and we have 216 to go for our MacBook giveaway. So just a reminder, we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the episode. But just a reminder, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to us. It's not going to
Yeah, be one.
And then shame on you.
Hurt.
You know?
And of course, anyone,
No need to
anyone
be
who
nice about
is
it. Shame
new-
on you for not being a subscriber.
big old welcome to anyone who is new.
Of course.
That too.
Yeah.
You better subscribe. That's all we're trying to
1,000 subscribers. That's all we've got to get to, and then we'll be bumping it up after that.
Do we remember what we're even giving away? I know there's a MacBook.
I do.
There's a Steam thing. There's an
Yep.
get.
iPod.
iPod, there's an iPod.
Okay,
And if I can
I'll-
find it, I have a one of those lanyard things that goes to that specific iPod. So I think it's iPod Mini.
I'm starting to look bad now. Everybody's chipping in. I'll give away this black stick.
Spudgers.
Jay
Free
touched it.
spudger.
What have I got?
Fair.
Yeah. I'll lick
I've
it.
got a 6 to 8 cable. It doesn't work very well.
That's all I got. Right?
Excellent. All right, let's move this
A
along
bag
before
clip.
GT's anger, just comes through and strangles me while he.
He's gonna start messaging us on messages. Like, move on.
All right, so we got. Let's move over to the news announcements, rumors, history, whatever we want to call it. So the first item that we have up here is Apple Care Plus. So they changed the sign-up deadline to now a year. It used to be 60 days. So if you buy a new phone or a Mac or anything like that, you now have a year to sign up for Apple Care Plus instead of the 60 days. Now, it used to be a year. They used to give you that extra time. And then they switched it back to 60 days. So I'm glad they're making this change again, because I personally was caught in that issue of being told by my cell phone provider, oh, I got a year to buy the Apple Care. And then when I dropped my phone and what was it? There was something wrong with it. I had to go and get it fixed. And oh yeah, by the way, you can't get the Apple Care anymore.
We lied. Sorry.
Yep, exactly. So I mean, I think that's a positive. What do you guys think?
No, absolutely.
If I was a
Absolutely.
supporter of Apple Care, I'd be all for it.
It actually
Yeah.
surprises me that they did that, but
Well,
it's good.
my question about it is though, okay, so how's the policy really going to work? Because you wait a year and you want to buy what is it, 1 year, 3 year Apple Care policy?
1 year.
Does that
So
year? Okay, so you buy the 1 year and you're at month 11 of having the phone. Oh, I'm going to buy the 1 year Apple Care. So you get 1 year to use something you paid for a year's worth of. Done.
Yep. Yep.
That's what I'm worried
Well,
about.
I mean, your Apple Care has always been, your product has a 1 year warranty. The Apple Care extends that for one more year, so you get 2 years total. At least here in the
Okay.
U.S., that's how it works. So
Okay.
if you're on the 29th day of the 11th month, and you go and buy Apple Care, it's pretty much the same thing as doing that 60 days after you buy the product. You're extending that 1 year out, and so you have that extra year of coverage and everything like that.
Okay.
So
So an extra year that they can tell you no.
Exactly. I mean, I personally get it for like an iPhone or an iPad because these things, everything is glued together these days. The $100-something is peace of mind enough for me to be like, I've had enough trouble with this iPhone 8 that I've had it replaced twice under Apple Care. So at least it's been helpful to me. I don't really see the purpose of it for a computer specifically, especially since I don't buy new Apple machines. But I had it on my 2011 iMac when I got that. And I'm glad I did because the GPU failed in it. And I had it on my 2006 iMac, which I'm glad I did because the optical drive failed in that. So
Jeez.
it's been worth it for me, but I'm just very unlucky, as you all could tell. So
Yeah, and we've seen the way you treat stuff, so probably a good idea.
hey,
No, it's. I mean, I'm a little biased because I was still at Apple during the time when they asked everybody to really push for selling Apple Care. You have to start bugging customers with it, which I refused to do. So I was in the manager's office every other day getting scolded for not selling enough Apple Care. I think it has its purpose, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of it.
I mean, if it gives you peace of mind and you don't mind spending the whatever $100-something on it, I mean, I guess go for it.
I've never
Yeah.
actually had Apple Care, ever.
I can second that.
I remember getting it when they used to give you the Tech Tool Deluxe CD-ROM built into the physical package you got.
That's
That's a long time ago.
Exactly.
a while ago.
Yeah. I think I had it with my iPhone 4 or 3GS, so somewhere around that time.
iPhone
And I
34?
had it for my MacBook Pro because back then I didn't know any better. Never had a use for it, but it does add some resale value to your device, though. If you can sell your Mac and it's still under
sure.
warranty, it adds some value. I don't know if you're
But
going to make
does
the
that
full
still
Apple Care
carry
value
over, though?
back, but what it's worth.
Yeah, but does that actually still carry though? Like it used to, and it used to stick with the device. But does that? I mean, I don't know if they actually still honor that anymore.
As far as I
From-
know, it's tied to the serial number of the device, not the user.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay. Because I mean, if they do, I mean that's great. But otherwise it's just like the extended warranty on a car. You bought it, and if you use it or lose it.
That's one of the things that, going a little off topic, I know it's only been 9 minutes. Your favorite company, OWC, does that. Lifetime warranty on pretty much all of their products, but it's tied to the purchaser. If you buy RAM or something else from someone else that bought it, that then sells it to you, good luck getting that warranty honored.
I've had
Yeah,
warranties
I
where they
mean-
should honor it and they haven't. So
Yeah,
Yep, OWC.
I can understand that. To a
Will
degree.
never be a sponsor of Mac Yak.
Well, and technically,
speaking of
lifetime
sponsors, our
warranty
sponsor is
only
OW.
lasts 7 years.
Our sponsor is GT.
GT, our savior, you mean? Our
Yeah.
savior is GT.
Since we want to give GT the illusion of some, he's not going to be able to step away until 9:30, but we're giving the illusion that he can, so he's not putting any of the overlays in or any of that. This is a bare bone show.
We might just every now and again hear, time to move on, guys.
Yeah,
I'll be saying it now if you listen real close. So one thing I just
Can't they? All right.
Okay, so
We're hearing the
No,
godly voice.
your
of
audio is
GT.
not coming through on the stream.
We're hearing the voice of God.
So, I just want to personally thank GT because one for saving our butts for the stream, but second, this is a little bit off topic, but GT wrote an excellent article on OpenCore that's on mac-yak.com, and for those of you who don't know, OpenCore gives your select graphics card the power and the capabilities that it should have had from the beginning on the Mac OS, and allows your graphics card to do HVAC encoding and all this fun stuff that you really wish it could have from the beginning. And so these guys have been talking about it for a while. I actually just went ahead and got RX 580 card secondhand, and for the purposes of just doing the video encoding for Final Cut. And I just did a test yesterday, and it renders 1080p in near real time and handles 4K HVAC stuff like a champ. So if you have not checked that out, I'm going to put a link in the chat here to that article. Oh, thank you, sir.
But just so I can clarify something, it was my understanding that with the RX 580, there isn't a big difference when using OpenCore. Is that
That's
correct?
what we were told.
But
JC's a big difference.
So I haven't used anything but the stock ATI was a 5761 gig card that came with the Mac Pro that I have, the 2012 model. I had no GPU rendering in Final Cut at all. I didn't even see the GPU, whatever. So with this new card in there and with OpenCore installed, now granted, I really didn't tinker around with the card much without OpenCore installed. So maybe it would have done a little bit of stuff. But when you install OpenCore and you install that Radeon Boost option there, which is like a separate kext or whatever they call it, it basically makes your card identifiable and uses all the features of it. So one of the things that I liked about that card and a lot of the cards in these series that are out there now is the built-in HVAC decoding and encoding. So if you have an iPhone, I think 7 or up, you could use this higher quality codec that basically halves all the video files in size. And I was not able to play a smooth video file in HVAC. It would just stutter. It was like, I was trying to play high def movies on iMac G3. There was no way it was doing it. And now it seems to just play as smoothly as anything. So I don't know if it was a combination of one versus the other. I'm not too fancy on this stuff, but all I know is I follow GT's fancy instructions, and you can help too.
Now, I do actually use an RX 590 in mine, and when I am using Final Cut Pro, if I watch the GPU activity, I mean it's right at the top the whole way.
Okay.
So even with that, certainly with the 580/590, I definitely get a speed boost from having it in here without using OpenCore. Obviously, I don't have a boot screen or anything like that, but it definitely is utilized by Final Cut.
And that's the other thing that you do get a boot screen with these cards. That's one of the reasons why people install this as well. So I'm not an expert on this, but there's the link there that Jay posted that goes into the tutorial that GT wrote, and then there's a link in that tutorial to one of the Mac Rumors forums there that details a lot of the information there. So I've had pretty good luck with it. So
I wonder.
So I'm
just
just
with
checking. I'm looking
NVIDIA
for the
cards.
open.
What?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I
Sorry,
was just
Rocky.
asking. I wonder how it is with NVIDIA cards. I might have to ask GT on that because I don't use I'm totally team green, so.
Yeah.
Well,
I
maybe
don't-
this helps answer a little bit as well, Bruce. I had the Radeon R9 280X, and I upgraded to the RX 580. It was actually slower than my old 2 gig card. This 8 gig card was slower. What?
It's up to you.
The voice of God is shouting at you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
God is chiming in. Give us a second. Well, while you figure that out, my experience, I ran Geekbench, I ran all the usual benchmarks, and this new card was actually slower. Once I installed OpenCore and Radeon Boost, it was still slower than the old card it replaced. Then I imported a few hours of footage in Final Cut, and instead of encoding it while it was importing, wasting 2-3 hours, it just handled the raw files. No encoding whatsoever. I save hours on every project now. So real world benchmarks, not so much. Real world application, huge improvement.
I'd be happy to do some testing and just see what actually it did without the stuff installed, because I honestly didn't test it. But
now, one of the things that, and yes, you can hear me, but you can't see me.
Ron Swanson,
I'm a meme right now, actually. So
let's just all try and lip sync him.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is if you run a card like mine, the RX 5700 XT, you can't use Radeon Boost in it. It doesn't work. But, however, Catalina already has the HVEC encoders built into for that card, so you don't need to do it anyways, because I could run HVEC encoding no problem.
Yeah, you can't run Unreal Tournament, though. Mm-hmm.
I can on my G5 back here.
There you go. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm running Mojave. I'm not running Catalina.
GT, if you're gonna sit there until 9:30, why don't you just put your camera in there and join the show?
Nope. I like my meme up there. I think y'all should all like that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, come on. Look, we have been talking for the last 10 minutes on something that's not even on the topic.
Well, there are no
I think we need GT, don't you?
I don't even have the topics up right now. I pulled this up. Just let you guys know, I pulled this up in the last 2 minutes before the show started.
2.5.
Well, 2.5. Okay. Before the show started, because Steve was texting me going, "Help!"
My left arm's tingling.
Tears streaming down his face.
But you guys are doing good, so I'll let you guys go.
All right, thanks, dude.
So, moving on.
Yes, we will
I think we've beat this one into the ground.
We need like a GT pull string doll. You pull them and all the phrases just come.
Were we still on the news and announcements, or are we doing actual topics?
Yeah, we've only done the first one.
Yeah.
We're going. Stop talking. Stop yakking. Come on. All right, so this was pretty cool. The next topic that I want to bring up is this news item that I want to talk about briefly, and I'm pasting the link in the chat there. There's this top secret government-funded iPod story that was making the rounds here. So essentially, the U.S. Department of Energy worked with Apple to develop a very special modded iPod. It's just it wasn't anything new that you couldn't do on normal iPods, except they put a sensor in there, and what they're assuming the sensor was to measure radioactivity. So a Geiger counter. So what they were suspecting of, and obviously this is like secondhand details from somebody who worked there and all this stuff, so the article is a good read, but essentially they were trying to develop a way to have essentially a Geiger counter inside of an iPod without there being any physical differences, and with the software working perfectly. And there's some good details in the article about sort of how they achieved this, and how they would turn it on and off through the settings menu and just make it very slick. But I thought that was pretty cool. I had no idea about this before, and apparently it was done in 2005. But I thought it was pretty neat.
All the stuff we don't know about. I really want some insider that's been with the company since its inception that knows all of these prototypes and crazy projects. We need that on the show. Like, we'll pay you $20 to break your NDA.
We might have somebody on the hook.
$20 whole dollars?
$20.
We'll have to give them like that silhouette kind of image or something, and
Yeah.
morph their voice. Yeah.
Where's my money? I want my $20 before we go live.
Sweet. I mean, jeepers, thanks. It's like a 12-year-old trolling us. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Bruce?
I was just wondering if that, if that particular Geiger counter thing, is that going to protect me from 5G?
Yes.
They're going to build something in to protect me. Have you heard about those USB 5G protector thingies?
Yes,
Oh my God, they're
I
so
have a bridge to sell you. So
I'm sure we skipped one in the news and announcements. Did we skip one?
I don't see one yet. Well, there's still one to go, but
The
we haven't
Apple
seen
Well,
event?
the September 10th event.
oh, okay. All right,
Oh.
next
We
one.
are lost without GT, man. This is
You're speaking to his chair now, so he'll have to
Yeah.
watch the play. So
Actually,
Apple
Ron
did a
Swanson.
live stream test on YouTube, and that had a September 10th date. So now there are rumors flying that there's going to be some type of Apple event coming on September 10th. So I just thought that was interesting to note. I have no idea. Nobody knows. It's Apple, but I mean, I think they're due for some hardware changes.
maybe the iPhone 11 XS Plus.
QS9er.
Yeah,
Deluxe.
6 lenses.
I want it to call me. I don't want to have to call on the phone. I want the phone to call me. It's the next stage.
The entire phone is a lens.
Exactly. All right, so we'll see if that anything comes out of that. But September 10th, stay home from work. I don't know. Do whatever.
Well, the whole world is in quarantine. We're all going to be home anyway. We'll be ready.
All right, and then Jay, I think you put this one in. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I saw a video. I think Brock posted it on our Discord. I took a quick glance at it. They did some basic testing of the new 10-core i9 iMac. And it actually, the tests were basic, just benchmarks, Geekbench. I think Cinebench was one of them. And it did not throttle. It went up to 100 degrees Celsius and stayed at turbo boost speed. At least it never dipped below the advertised clock speed. It dropped the turbo boost once in a while, but it stayed above advertised clock speed. And that was pretty impressive, seeing as there is no change in the fan assembly or overall cooling. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, but the iMacs, they do have that blower design. So they blow it straight out a back port in the iMac. So I could see them being able to cool it. I mean, versus, the MacBooks, which are lucky to have any fan at all at this point.
It comes with one of those little things that you do by the fireplace. Apply to
Yeah.
MacBook every 15
Bilge.
seconds. Yeah.
I love that. That's
Like the
great.
more you do, you're working Final Cut Pro, you better tap that foot on the bilge, keep going.
Yeah, why don't you buy the $4.99 deluxe one that has wheels with it?
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm looking forward to more testing as these things become more available. Because of course this is a benchmark. 2, 3, 4 minutes, you're done. I want to see someone render a Final Cut Pro project and really go to town on this thing to see what happens. I'm sure we'll see that in the next few weeks.
Just wait,
All right,
Linus will
cool.
do it.
All right, we are finally onto our first topic. That only took 23
I'm
minutes
tired.
and
I'm
59
leaving.
seconds. So this has been flying around, and I know a lot of us have opinions on it, so I won't speak too much because I've been speaking too much already. But so there's this whole deal about Epic Games and fighting with Apple over their Fortnite game in the App Store. And you probably saw it in the news already, but essentially how this originated, if I recall correctly, they essentially have an in-game method of purchasing virtual currency. And they're essentially trying to bypass Apple from getting a cut of that virtual currency. So, you could buy it in Epic's $V or bucks or whatever for a certain amount of money rather than using Apple's in-app purchase system. So instead of using the in-app purchase system, you tap something in the game and you does a transaction, which is not what Apple allows its app developers to do. So Apple pulled the game from the store, and now Epic ran this, 1984-esque, ad against it, and now everybody's suing everybody else's pants off. I think I summed it up right, huh?
I didn't really stay up to
pretty
speed
close.
about it. All I know is that they tried to be sneaky and break the rules,
Yeah.
and they got caught.
Mhm.
They got spanked, and they're about to get spanked a hell of a lot worse. And they're crying about it. It's the same with that article on Low End Mac that came out a few days ago. Dude worked for Apple. You sign a contract, you break the contract, and then you cry that you get fired. I don't feel
Yeah.
sorry for them. Sorry.
Well,
So-
here's the thing. Okay, so let's look at this, because Epic, a very large gaming company who makes, excess amounts of money, has a global game. And what Epic has essentially done is they did allow a different option to purchase their V-Bucks or whatever they call it. And they were advertising it, and that's what ticked off Apple. So they were advertising it, and they were making a big stink and blah, blah, blah. So Apple got their panties in a wad and decided to come after them. The thing is, Microsoft does the same thing with their stuff. They offer the option you can buy with Microsoft, like with Minecraft, stuff like that. You can actually buy outside of those products. They just don't advertise it, so Apple doesn't really make a stink about it. So it's just Apple being Apple. It's another thing that Apple's trying to go after another company and say, look, I'm a $2 trillion mess. I'm a hot mess. You're not going to touch me. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Well, I think also Google did the same thing. So Google took it off the store. Of course, with an Android device, you could get it through other means. You don't have to go through the Play Store. But they pulled the same thing, which was, I guess, against Google's things too, and they pulled it off their store. And now Apple is, of course, saying they're gonna, take off take Epic's access to the developer tools on both iOS and macOS away from them, and suspend their accounts and all this stuff. And I completely sympathize with, a small-time developer, but not Epic, who's made millions or billions of dollars off of these in-app purchases for this virtual currency so some kid could wear a hat in a game. I mean, they just don't want to pay Apple their cut. And this was the rule from the App Store from the very beginning, whenever they started this in-app purchasing stuff. And
you agreed to the rules by signing up.
Exactly. And you know what? If you don't like the rule, there's nothing wrong with not liking the rule. Hey, I think it's a stupid rule, but you signed the contract when you wanted to be part of their global reach of that store.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to abide by the rules, it's well within Apple's rights to be like, bye.
Absolutely. Now, for the rest of this video, pretend that Bruce doesn't have a cat, but an octopus is trying to attack him. It makes it so much funnier.
Well, now there's another side of this, though, because I believe, if I remember correctly, Epic is countersuing with an antitrust lawsuit against Apple and Google, saying, hey, you're being a monolith and you're not allowing, other options and things. Because realistically, just like I said, Microsoft has outside of Apple purchases that you can do that can apply. And so does many other, developers and whatnot. They have the ability to do purchases outside of Apple. I mean, like I have here's a perfect example. I have a Pandora subscription. I can either purchase it on Pandora's website and it applies to my phone, or I can purchase it through the phone and Apple gets their cut. It's all up to where I want to buy it. And everybody does that. I think it's just Apple being bitter.
I mean, the way I feel about iOS is it is a market created by Apple. That particular channel does not exist without Apple. So to some extent, they get to write their own rules about how you are going to use that channel. If you don't want to use that channel, you don't use it. But the whole, sort of phone apps, I mean, I realize there's Android now as well, but because that's something that, the whole creation of the apps, the whole cat fur everywhere, the app market is something that Apple created. And I mean, if you want to be part of it, then they're the terms.
I think we're all, even though we don't they take a crazy cut, like 30-40% or something. 30%. I don't agree with it, but you agreed to the rules.
Yeah, so. The thing is, if you don't have that channel, 30-40% of nothing is nothing. You know what I mean? It's they might be feeling they're getting hard done by, but it's, as I say, it's a market that would not exist otherwise. So, if that market wasn't there, the 70% they were getting is 70% of nothing is nothing. Now they're getting...
They're welcome to make their own phones and their own hardware company.
yeah, that's right.
Epic fail. Oh boy. Yeah.
So I think we all agree that it's a lot of money, but I think we're all in agreement that it's a huge cut, and we understand people not being thrilled about it. But if you do agree to those terms, if you have, if you do want to use that channel and you have agreed to using that channel, then you have to pay what it costs.
Yeah, and I am all for companies, challenging Apple of how it's not fair and whatever. Sure, go after them and pull a. For me, this just is a freaking publicity stunt. That's what Epic is pulling. They're pulling a publicity stunt. They want to make Apple look bad because they probably want them to get pressure from like everybody else, and Apple go like, all right, we'll change our rules, blah blah blah. And you know what? If they do that, more power to them. I could care less what happens between one company and the other. But what sort of is weird is Apple does have deals with other companies. So like Amazon, I think they get 30% of like Prime subscriptions through Apple. So if you pay for a Prime membership through Apple or whatever, you get 30%. But Apple only takes 15% the next year or something like that. So they worked out a deal that an indie developer probably wouldn't have got, but that was something that they discussed. I'm pretty sure that Apple probably would have come to a similar deal with Epic if they didn't do something like this,
Yeah.
So.
Yep. They went about it the wrong way.
I really do think the moral to the story is, kiddies, stop playing Fortnite. You're wasting your life.
Pretty much.
And don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's
One of the repairs I have in right now is this iMac over there. It is a 2010 iMac that is exclusively used to play Fortnite. So I have to fix it with extreme urgency. They need it back tomorrow. You got a school project or something? No. Okay.
So your Fortnite fixing fee is now $1,000, right? That's your.
Yep.
Gotta charge that Apple tax.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we beat that one into the ground, I think. So, the second topic we have here, and this is something that we sort of touched on a little bit earlier in some of the other streams, but we want to talk a bit about useful utilities and programs for your Mac. Some of these things that you download for a specific purpose, or maybe you use it every day. I'll start off with one that I commonly use, and that's one built into the OS, that's Automator, but it doesn't have to be something that is built into the operating system or is like an add-on download from the App Store. It could be from a downloads page of a developer website or something like that, or from the Mac App Store. But another one that is not included on the Mac is called Easy Find. And Spotlight is great. I love it. It works fine. But Easy Find, and I'm going to paste the link in here to the chat.
It's one with a little squirrel as an icon or something.
Yeah, it has a little squirrel and he's holding the magnifying glass. And although I love Spotlight works by indexing the drive. And a lot of the times I plug a drive into a dock or whatever, and I don't have the drive indexed. Maybe I don't want to index it because it's an old drive and I don't really need to access it that often. But what Easy Find allows you to do is basically do a search for files or folders by names or comments, or gives you a bunch of options, but it lets you specify which drive you want to search on. And although the built-in macOS search is okay, even when the drive isn't indexed, it's sluggish. And this just does an awesome job. It's a free app. You could just go to the website. I think they even had PowerPC support for a period of time. But I use this probably multiple times a week.
And very importantly, it searches in hidden folders as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So often when you're just searching off the desktop, it won't search in your libraries and your preferences and all that. Easy Find will allow you to search anywhere on the drive. Yep. So if you're looking for a bunch of preference files or something like that.
Yeah. It reminds me of like a find file from the old, OS, where it's just very simple and it does its job very quickly.
Yeah, that's on my list as well.
It's always nice.
Bless you.
Bless you, whoever that was.
Yeah,
Does anybody else
Bruce's
have any applications or utilities that they're
The list is so long. Where
I was going to say,
Yeah.
are we capping it somewhere?
Where do we start?
Let's just talk.
I want pets. I want pets back. I want a virtual cat or dog walking on my desktop again. That would make me happy. I really did enjoy it back in the old classic OS.
I remember that. Yeah.
All right, I'll go with deliveries. I'll go with deliveries. It's a little app that supports pretty much every carrier in the world, and you put your tracking number in, and it keeps track of all your packages with different carriers all in one neat little window. And nice. I ship and receive a lot, so it's very handy. But I'll put a link in the description.
That's like an iOS or a OS X app.
Both.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
It's
I
called
used to
Deliveries
use
3.
the dashboard widget that was similar to that for a while.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Nice.
That's how they started out.
Is it called Deliveries 3?
I don't know, dude. I was going to put a link in the description. How are you going to make me look it up?
Don't
I
ask the
already
hard
went to the
questions.
Apple Store.
Let me see.
It looks
and
like a
Scarlet
brown
Swordfish in the
carton
chat
with a label
The
on
company
it.
that makes it is June Cloud.
June Cloud. Okay.
So
I just want to mention in the
It's
chat,
$5.
Scarlet Swordfish mentioned that an app that I use called Wiretap. It's an audio recording application. That's from the PowerPC days. I think they still make an Intel one, although around the release of Line, they had some difficulty with some things, but I think they're still around.
I use, well, for video playback, VLC can't be beat, really.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
For free.
And then I'm just going through my list here. TG Pro for fan control. The Unarchiver. I like that.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Oh, I know I had one on here that I specifically wanted to mention. Oh, AnyDesk. I used to use TeamViewer, and TeamViewer gives me a lot of crap now about,
Yeah.
logging into my own machines with using their free software that is still free, and yet they say, "Oh, well, we've detected commercial use." Really? So
How?
I switched to exactly.
Because you have so many computers.
Yeah, and I connect to maybe 2 of them now. So, but anyway, AnyDesk is a nice substitute for TeamViewer, and it doesn't give you crap like that.
You're welcome, Dana.
Yeah, you did tell me about that. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely come in handy.
Yeah, no, I
What
use
about
that
you,
one.
Rocky?
Myself, I mean, other than I want cats and dogs back, but
Some people make that.
in macOS, it's a modern version. It's called Maintenance now, but it was called Onyx originally. That is a super helpful tool because, at least in my experience, macOS does not always catch itself like it's supposed to and clean out its caching files and things like that, which is what it has actually a system that it does it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to keep macOS running cleanly and running well, and that's an excellent tool. It does an excellent job of cleaning out all of that and getting macOS running more efficiently after, of course, a reboot. That's one of my favorite tools because I use it when I go in and start working on stuff. I would have to say for macOS, beyond that, Steam actually is one tool that I use a lot of. And I know it sounds silly, but I mean, Steam's doing a lot in the front of converting, doing a lot of, like with their Proton and things, they're converting it to where games that did not run on macOS before, macOS can harness some of that Linux compatibility and actually run games that are Windows only and stuff. So that does make me happy. I really enjoy that. Yeah. It's not as much as like on the Windows side, but they're fighting so hard to get developers to convert to also providing a Mac and Linux version of the games that they're doing a lot to make them more compatible. So I, got to give a shout out to that because it is something that I use. I do enjoy it. But
Well,
I mean,
their
there's
good work doesn't go down the toilet because of this ARM stuff.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. That's a good question. Actually, that's a very good question. But yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of them.
Are we
The
talking
GT is of course
utilities
reminding
like
of us of OVS.
tiny little apps, or full big apps are allowed into the list as well?
I mean, any app. The reason why I use the word utility, I was just thinking of these little things like the Unarchiver or Easy Find.
Okay.
That, but
Things
it could
that-
be an application, of course.
Things that
In that case, I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, typically something that's small and usually free or very low cost that makes a big difference.
Yeah, like Coconut Battery is one of them.
Yeah, I want to nominate LibreOffice. Not
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
small,
good one.
That's not bad. Yeah.
but
There you go.
just like VLC, it should be on every system by default.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got a list here.
Okay.
I'm going to try and skim over this fairly quickly. This is something, I don't know if anyone's ever had this occur where they get an email from a Windows person and all they get is a file with an attachment called winmail.dat.
Yes.
There's a utility
I heard
called
that.
WinMail Extractor that would allow you to get that winmail.dat file and turn it into what it was meant to be before it arrived. So that one's a very handy one. There's another one I use all the time. It depends on, of course, what your profession is and stuff like that. But I use a little utility called Hughes. And Hughes is just like a little floating palette type thing, and it's got a little eyedropper on it that allows you to click anywhere on the screen, and it tells you what the RGB value is of the color that you just clicked on, and it gives it to you in hex, it gives it to you in RGB, HSV, the whole, sort of the whole gamut there, and then of course it's got a little color selector that you can go in and select different colors as well. So that's a really useful tool. Certainly as a web person, that one's very, very handy.
There used to be one of those built into OS 10 in the developer tools. I think it was called like Pixel or Pixely or something.
Yeah,
like
that rings a bell. This is better. It's got more.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It has more features. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to. Yeah, it's like, yes, you're right. There was. I don't know if there still is, but yeah, this one has a little bit more. It allows you to store colors and stuff like that if you're using them for regularly and that. The land scan is one that I use, and that's one that it'll just go in and scan your entire network and show you every single device and its IP address. I know there are a few utilities for that. Space Gremlin. Space Gremlin is one that allows you to get a visual representation of all the files on your hard drive and how much space they're taking up. We mentioned this last week. It was what actually got us started. Someone was talking about another utility that does this.
Yeah,
Dana mentioned what was the video on VLC. Another one worth mentioning is Handbrake. That's a free sort of video encoder. That one's absolutely essential, and it's fast and it utilizes all your CPUs. So, when you have to encode something, it just flies through. So that's a really, really good one. I'll let someone else have a go, and I'll come back to my list afterward.
Well, just to throw this in there, because you said the Handbrake thing, DaVinci Resolve. I've been trying that actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been hearing a lot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm well and truly into the Final Cut Pro thing, I've got so many hours invested in it.
It is so similar.
But if you are someone who is starting off video editing, and the fact that DaVinci Resolve is this incredibly full-featured video editing suite and is free is just extraordinary. So, yeah, I would recommend anyone who's getting into video editing to start with that one.
There's
Bruce,
one app that. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask him real quick: is the icon for LandScan a little green duck, or is it a magnifying glass? Because I get two.
It is a little green duck.
Okay. Because they both have the same name, but one of them is a green duck, and I was like, "All right."
What about Fetch? Anyone still use Fetch for FTP stuff?
I haven't used Fetch in a while, but it's definitely a great one.
Yeah, FileZilla more.
Fetch is like Wired's granddaddy.
I'm sort of using CyberDuck these days. I used to use Interarchy or Interarchy.
You ducks.
You used ADM too, I bet.
I mean, I used to really like the way Interarchy worked, but there's been no proper update to that since I think like Mojave, and it just doesn't run properly on Mojave anymore. I got hold of a beta version. It just crashes every 5 seconds. So it's a shame. I really like that. But yeah, I found CyberDuck to be probably the closest to that one. I quite like using that one.
Yeah, there's one little utility that I use called Wake on LAN, and it does exactly what it sounds like. All it does is make a list of your network and allows you to just send a Wake on LAN signal over to that device to wake it up. I was using a command line utility before, but this is nice because it sort of remembers the MAC addresses of those devices, and if you have the capability to turn those on, it lets you do that. So
nice.
Okay.
And I have to give a shout out. I know it's going into a whole different area of. I have to give a shout out to Disk Warrior.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Without it, I'd be so screwed.
Hurry up, Disk Warrior.
Yeah, they need to really get working on that APFS support.
We'll pay you. Come on.
We are desperate. I wanted to actually just mention one really nifty little thing. One utility that I do use, but I don't actually use it to its full capability, is Opera. Opera, obviously the browser. I don't use it as a browser at all. I really don't, and I mean that most sincerely.
Downloader.
However, one of the things that Opera does do brilliantly is save web pages as PDFs. If you're ever in a situation where you need to save a web page as a PDF, its output is so accurate in terms of what the web page looks like and just the layout of it. And if you've got a really long page, it just makes a really long PDF. So you just get one great big PDF of the whole page top to bottom.
I don't have to piece together screenshots in Photoshop anymore.
Exactly. So what I would say to anyone, it's a hidden utility or a hidden feature within Opera. So if anyone says to me, can you send me a PDF of this page? I fire up Opera, I load the page, export the PDF and send it. That's a really
I had no idea.
tip. Yeah. So
I use Opera every day because of the built-in VPN. I use Opera for all my social media pages, and I don't want it mixing with all the information in my other browsers. But I had no idea.
VPNs.
Yeah, I knew about it having very excellent downloader capabilities. I mean, its downloading tools that are built into it are top-notch, but I didn't know they had that PDF feature. That's really awesome.
The last time I played with Opera was on the mobile app. I think it was like the iPhone 4. I was going on a plane or a cruise or something where I wouldn't have internet for a few days or whatever it was. I think it was a cruise. And what it was before the lists feature in Safari or the reader view or whatever they call that. And it basically allowed me to save the entire contents of a web page with the images and the links and everything as an offline copy. So I was using Opera for that ages ago, and it worked great.
Wow, it even saves the PDFs and all the images are URLs and everything.
Holy cow,
That's
that's really
impressive.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
It doesn't handle iframes too well, though, Bruce, I must say.
Yeah, but that's okay because no one's using iframes anymore, Joe.
Yes, they do.
Nobody should be.
I got another one on my list.
There's some weird
Yep,
Mac
yep.
serial website that uses them, but
It's run by a troll that lives under a bridge.
One little utility which Jay tipped me off about a while ago is Clip Grab. If you're wanting to download YouTube vids, which you're probably not meant to do, but
Vimeo, too.
Yeah. So that's Clip Grab's a handy one to have.
Episode of Mac Yak, I guess that would be a great tool for that.
Exactly.
16, I
Watch them over and over again. Watch
Put
them
us on
before
your
you go to
iPod video. Take us with you.
Yep. Watch us before you go to bed to help you get to sleep.
download those useful videos before YouTube takes them down.
Well, I was going to mention Carbon Copy Cloner, but there's another segment coming up that I'm saving it for. But definitely a good one.
Well, speaking of that, let's unless you have more, Bruce, do you like to?
I just obviously wanted to mention iStat menus, which I think probably a lot of us here are using.
I use that.
I forgot about that one.
So that's another one, and of course, malware bytes. If you just download again, another tip from Jay. If you just download that as the free version and not the paid version, it just allows you to scan your Mac whenever you want for malware. Very handy to. I mean, why not have it?
Delete it afterwards.
So,
Somebody mentioned private internet browsing or like proxy browsing. I have an app called Private Internet Access. I think it's like $12 a year, $13 a year, and if you are
45.
Is it?
Yeah.
What am I thinking? Either way, it's affordable for a year.
Oh, yeah, very affordable.
It connects you to proxy server if you need to mask your IP for any reason that I don't know why you'd want to.
What are you?
I pay for it just for fun. I don't need it for anything.
Well, if we're on that kind of realm, I would say Brave browser is excellent for avoiding advertisements online and getting rid of all the annoyances.
I
Not
use,
going to name names. Ads free.
I don't know if you call it a utility. It's a browser add-on, but it's AdBlock Plus. I use that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it even blocks ads in YouTube. It's great.
Actually, you want to know? Brave is actually a step better than that.
Is it
to
really?
be honest. Oh yeah, you should give it a shot. And it's based on the Chromium. So
Extensions. Download them all is one that lets you download like consecutive links of things. And then Download Helper is for videos and Flash stuff.
You had an extension that you used to download stuff from crap, I forgot.
That
Flash
archive.
Garden?
No, there was a website where it's a nightmare to download things one at a time, and you had an extension that helped with that.
Yeah, I think that was download them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
By the way, I think we're doing something wrong. We have 29 people watching. We only got 13 likes.
Oh, come on.
Might as well
Oh,
stop
man.
now.
See,
This
see
is
your thumb.
sad.
Yeah.
What's going
If
on?
you use your thumb and you push it on your trackpad or your mouse, and then you move it to the like button, and then you push your thumb. You just got to do it. It sounds weird. Just do it.
Smash that
It does
like
sound weird.
button.
No, I think we need to move on.
Yes.
Our overlord
All
has
right.
been unhappily looking at us.
I'm gonna mimic everything GT does.
He's only hosting the show. He's not running it.
He's throwing things.
No
at
one
us.
knows that GT is sitting there in his underwear, just directing us what to do. It's so weird.
With big pink fuzzy bunny ears.
He has a megaphone. He's just shouting at us relentlessly. All right. So our next topic is something that is near and dear to a lot of us, and this is probably going to go on for a bit. So strap in. But it's something that we all need to talk about, and it's very helpful to understand this before you evolve with your digital life. And so we're going to be talking about backing up, and so it's something that nobody enjoys doing except maybe Jay. Jay likes doing that stuff. But essentially, you have a lot of data on your computer or your phone or your tablet, maybe even on some disks or a hard drive somewhere. And, this stuff is not going to last forever. Everything that is physical has, an end of life, whether it be a spinning hard drive or an SSD disk or whatever they invent in the future.
Even CDs and DVDs.
Even CDs, DVDs, Laserdiscs, they suffer from rot, So the whole thing that we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to cover all the details in this overview. I'm just saying we're going to talk about backup stuff. But essentially, from, people much smarter than me, say you don't really have a backup until you have like 2 copies of what you actually have, and maybe a third one that's offsite or in the cloud or something like that. So in the event you lose your backup or your backup breaks or something like that, you have access to a version of it somewhere. And it's not only that, let's say you have a complete backup of something and it's in a vault somewhere and you never touch it. No, you want to test it. You want to open it up. You want to make sure that it's backing up exactly what you thought it was. So I'm going to just open this up to talk generally about backups. I'm not going to follow any sort of, checklist or anything like that. But
nobody in the stream can see this, but GT is being scolded. Like, what are you doing at that computer? We're supposed to be out to dinner. Damn it!
I'm just helping the guys out.
Sorry, GT. I owe her flowers.
Well, before we go into this topic, we actually a few of us had kind of planned a separate show or video about this because there's just so much to cover. But yeah, I'm gonna give someone else the floor because once I get started, we're not going to be able to finish in time, and GT's going to be pissed.
Yeah. Well, heck, I'll just jump in and go for it. So my personal backup plan on the Mac, which honestly is my favorite platform for doing all of this, is actually I use, and I know Jay and some other people don't really like it. I could be wrong, though. Maybe Jay does like it. But it is the built-in tool in Mac OS, the Time Machine. That's my first step. I Time Machine to an external, well, actually in my Mac Pro, it's an internal hard drive, and it backs up to that. And then I also use in either iCloud or actually personally I use OneDrive, and it then backs up to that automatically. So I get a double copy of all my data. I have it in the cloud, and it clones to my other devices. It's available on my phone, et cetera, et cetera. And then I also have the Time Machine that is doing a constant backup and giving me snippets where I can go back in time, and it's a really cool interface, all that wonderful stuff. So that's how I do my basic stuff. And then every once in a while, when there's certain important things, I copy them to an external hard drive. So that's my backup strategy, personally.
So I think what we're going to do here is we're all going to talk, and then Jay's going to tell us how we're wrong.
No. Actually, to prevent that from happening, I'll go now. If you don't mind, Bruce. I know you were about to talk.
Not at all.
However you back up, I follow at a bare minimum the 3-2-1 strategy. And it's very straightforward. 3 copies of your data, 2 local copies on different storage types, and 1 backup offsite. 3, 2, 1. That's my minimum. I take that minimum and I go extremely overboard on it. I have like 35, 16, 50 or something. I overdo it by a mile. But yeah, it's multiple locations, multiple storage media. If it lives on a hard drive, I have it living on a Blu-ray, and whatever software you use, just make sure you have multiple copies and 1 offsite. You know, if asteroid hits your house while you're out shopping, you want something in the cloud. So,
given the quantity of data we're talking about, from a cost perspective, what do you recommend as offsite options?
I use a paid service called Backblaze. They're very fast, unlimited storage, encrypted at a very good price. And I have 2 computers that I set up at friends' places. I have 1 computer running at my mom's house and 1 computer running at a friend in New York's house. And I just crammed it full of hard drives, and I back up to those machines over the internet.
Okay.
And see,
Like an
I
rsync
I
type
would
thing?
agree with Jay's setup and analogy. I think that's wonderful, and for a more corporate setup that would work well. However, for the average user, personally, I would recommend the offsite solution to be something very simple like iCloud or OneDrive, where it just can automatically do it for you.
Well, that's what Backblaze does. So Backblaze, you essentially download a control panel to your Windows or Linux or Mac machine, whatever it supports, and you basically select the drives or the folders you want to back up, and that's it. It's unlimited. It just runs in the background. Obviously, your initial backup is going to take a while because it's going to find everything. Now, you can be smart and you can exclude things like the system folder or your downloads folder, stuff you don't really want to have backed up. And you can always re-enable those too in the future. But what's nice is it'll back up all your internal drives and it'll back up your externals that you plug into that. So right now,
nice.
since I moved to my Mac Pro, although my iMac is still the Backblaze registered machine, I have all my externals plugged into the iMac, and every few days it'll back those up or just make sure they're backed up. The one thing you just have to keep in mind with a service like Backblaze, and there's an extra cost you could add so you don't have to fuss with this thing, but essentially you need those drives plugged in once every 30 days at the minimum, or it's going to think that drive has went away and it's going to erase the data that it has stored on its server. It's just obviously a way for them to cut down on the data costs that they have.
And you pay per machine. So if you have 20 machines that you want to back up, you pay 20 licenses. I get around that by backing up everything to my Mac Mini, and that Mac Mini and all the hard drives backs up to Backblaze.
It's something worth mentioning. I don't know what the situation is there, but certainly here in Australia, there are quite a few people that would still be running on data limits on their internet. So they wouldn't necessarily have unlimited. And that's something worth being wary of when it comes to a cloud backup system, that a lot of some of the ones, if people are on a particularly cheap internet connection here, you may not necessarily get an additional charge for going over your limit, but you're likely to get throttled and taken down to really dial-up speed for the rest of the month or something like that. And that's just something that people need to be aware of with any sort of backup strategy is, do I have enough sort of data, sort of bandwidth or whatever to back up my entire hard drive? So just worth mentioning.
No, that's a good one. I used to give that disclaimer, but my provider Comcast that I used up to 2 years ago, they dropped the data limit finally around 2017 or 2018, and that's when I started using Backblaze. Before that,
Comcast
I had a 1
still has a
terabyte limit.
It's 1 terabyte. Yeah,
1 terabyte is
still that
stupid.
limit.
I blow through a terabyte in a day. What am I going to do with that? Carbonite, that's a good one too.
Our the provider that I'm with, I used to be on a limited one. Admittedly, it was a lot. I did have quite a large limit, but then there was an option to go with an unlimited one, and I can't remember, it's a couple of dollars more or something, and I just grabbed it because I'm a data hog. So
Well, it's just that, and it increased after I got a kid. Those kid pictures, they have to live forever. I don't care how, I don't care where, I don't care why. But before I had a computer, I found a computer in New York on the marketplace. I told my buddy to go pick it up. I ordered a few hard drives, told him to put it in, install an OS, and then I set it up through remote. Before that, I used to, especially living in Florida, you have 5 hurricanes a year terrorizing your ass. I had a big 8 terabyte hard drive with all my most crucial data encrypted on it that I would mail to him. Like, mail it back to me once or twice a year. I'll update it, mail it back to you for safekeeping over there. So I can, if I lose those pictures, not only will my wife kill me, I'll be very sad.
Well, that's
one of the other
sorry,
things.
Bruce,
Oh, sorry. This just something that I wanted to mention sort of earlier on is the other is, which is a really important thing from a professional aspect, is a restore strategy. It's all great to have your data backed up, but if you're in a situation like I am where I'm doing work for other companies, and if I have some sort of huge mechanical failure, I can't just ring them up and say, look, I'm in the middle of a restore. It's going to take 2 days and then I'll get back onto your work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I have a backup strategy based around, I use Time Machine as well. It's great for that sort of incremental backup. It's really good to be able to go back and say, oh, you know what, this stuffed up 3 versions ago or something. I need to go back to that version and just be able to go back, look back into a particular day and say, okay, that's when the last version of this had the stuff in it that I wanted or something like that. That's really good, covers human error, all that sort of stuff. But in terms of mechanical failure, now a lot of people use carbon copy cloner. I use Super Duper. It's I mean, they're much of a muchness in my opinion. I know carbon copy cloner is probably a bit better these days, but I'm already sort of down the Super Duper path. So it just runs like a cron task in the background that just goes in and does it only updates files that are changes, but it makes a functional exact copy of the drives that I have. So virtually every drive here I have 2 drives. And I make a clone of each one, all the important ones. So if one of them fails, I can just flick across to the backup one. And that's a big plus, just as I say, from the perspective of if something does fail, of being able to get back up and running as quick as possible.
Now,
that's great.
I would have to say, and maybe other people have had, I know other people have had different experiences, but personally, that is one of the big reasons why I like the Time Machine, is that actually, if I need to, like if my system goes down, I've had the hard drive fail before, or I've wanted to swap it, I use Time Machine. I will take a fresh install of Mac OS and restore with Time Machine, and it goes right back to the way it was. Nothing changed.
How long does that take though?
In instances with a mechanical drive, it can take me 45 minutes for multiple terabytes, but it's not terrible. It does a restore and I can be back up and everything's just like it was when I, left off.
Remember the days of tapes?
Yeah, I was about to say it's much easier to grab something from a network attached storage unit locally than, find the right tape backup drive and load that over whatever connection you had. But I mean, that's another thing. If you have, like Jay was talking about, like a lot of us are talking about, you have your own server or your own setup where your data is locally. That's great because that's the fastest way you're going to be able to get to something. I don't care how fast your internet connection is. It's probably faster if you have it locally to grab stuff from. So, that's a good option. But, like Jay was talking, that 3-2-1 rule, it's great to have something that's off-site, whether it's a cloud backup, whether you're taking a hard drive to your friend's place, whether you're backing up remotely to, a friend's house or something like that. That's a very good point.
And clones. I have 2 hard drive docks set up here with constantly updating clones. One for my boot drive, one for my work drive. I got an SSD that I keep all my current work on. If any of them go down at any given time, I can just instantly switch over and keep working. My downtime will take as long as it takes to fire up the Mac. And that's, I think, especially if you make money off of your Mac and the software you use, I think having an up-to-date clone, bootable clone, is essential.
And I often had people ask the question, how often should I back up? And of course, the answer I always give to people when they ask that is, how much work do you want to do again? Yeah. So if you sort of say, look, I'm prepared to lose 1 hour's worth of work, you back up every hour. I'm prepared to lose 4 hours worth of work. You back up every 4 hours. You just always have to think of it from the perspective of how much work are you prepared to do again? And that's how often you should be backing up.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, it is. That puts into perspective too about like how much external storage you need, all that stuff. But I mean, hard drives are ridiculously cheap these days. You could get a few terabytes for under $200 or under 100 something.
Costco just had a deal. I just got 4 or 5 terabyte hard drives for $85 each. Like,
Thanks for telling us.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Hell, I didn't even have to think about that more than 2 seconds.
What
Let
brand?
us know
just
next
out of
time.
curiosity?
Seagate, they suck. They break all the time, but I rip open the enclosures and put them in my own box. The hard drives are good. The enclosures are ass. But for that price, you can't go wrong.
Well, speaking of enclosure, just a quick thing there. Some of these drives now, like some of the Western Digital MyBook ones, will actually have some encryption built into the SATA to USB bridge.
Yeah.
So be very careful. If that goes, your Mac will just see the drive as an formatted disk, and it's probably just that little converter chipset has gone.
I actually did have that. I had someone come
happened to me
with a Western Digital hard drive that they couldn't get any of the data off, and I said, "Oh, look, I'll have a look at it for you." So I took the drive out of the enclosure. Very first thing I did, I put it into one of those little toaster things, and the computer didn't see the drive. The drive seemed to spin up fine though, and it was just that little controller in the case. And just out of pure luck, I actually had another one of those cases from an old bed drive, and I was able to do a little surface mount swap of one of the ICs on the little controller.
You so fancy.
Got it working, and I got the data off it. But that taught me a very valuable lesson. From now on, I don't use any of those off-the-shelf Western Digitals. I buy an enclosure, like I buy a USB enclosure, buy the hard drive, and put that in there, because I don't ever want to be in that situation.
That's exactly what happened to me, and why OWC had a garage sale on some Toshiba USB enclosures. They were like $6 each, no drive, just the enclosure. I think I bought like 4 or 5 of them, and I bought the Western Digital drives the next day, and I just put them all in that case. The only Western Digital drive I will keep with that chipset if I have 2, so I know at least one is okay. Obviously, if they both fail, I'm out of luck. But those are backed up to Backblaze as well. But I don't know if Seagate does that. If they have, I'm not aware of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more companies are doing that as well.
Could you imagine the amount of fun we'd have if Maxter was still in business?
Oh man!
How many backups of backups of backups of backups would we need and still have them fail?
I had a Maxter drive that I bought. It was right when I bought these headphones, and these headphones are 20 years old, and that Maxter lasted probably at least 12 years.
Yes,
and it was a 200 gig drive. Huh?
What? You had anything bigger than 40 gigs last you that long?
No, it was a 200 gig drive, and it lasted a good 10 years at least. Yeah, maybe I got lucky, because I've heard a lot of bad stuff about Maxter.
You got lucky.
Didn't Seagate buy out Maxter?
Yes, they did. So I had a Maxter 80 gigabyte FireWire external drive that I used with my Key Lime iBook when I was a kid, when I was in high school or whatever. That 80 gigabyte drive just decided to corrupt itself one day, and there went like all of my stuff. I was devastated. Didn't learn my lesson, because a few years later, bought a 200 gigabyte hard drive for my dad's G4 Sawtooth tower. Put that in. Probably lasted about 5-6 months. And my dad's at the computer. It's right before we're having dinner. And he hears a weird noise in the computer. And he just thinks it's doing something weird. So we're having dinner, just casually having dinner.
It's not supposed to do something weird.
And he's like, yeah, by the way, the computer's making a weird noise upstairs. And I said, it's not the hard drive, is it? He's like, well, it's a clicking noise. And I literally left the food on the plate, bolted upstairs, and the drive was toast. And I was putting everything on that drive, because that was the biggest drive we had. Like putting movies on there, putting pictures on there, putting VHS tapes I converted. Everything was on there. I don't even know what was on there.
Backing it up.
Well, that's back in those days, for me at least, that was my concept of a backup. Like, okay, the drive in my G3 is 6 gigs. It's 4 or 5 years old. I have this 80 or 100 gig. Wow, let me put all my stuff on there. If it's the only existing copy, it's not a backup. I had to learn that the hard way too. It's like,
I have to say,
Hindsight, that was stupid.
coming from the era of floppy disks and how fragile those could be in the 3.5 variety,
Oh, yeah.
I learned very quickly having 2 copies of something is very important.
Yeah.
So I've been backing up since like the early 90s because it's like I want 2 copies of this. One copy just doesn't suffice.
My setup is it's all contained in the Mac Pro right now. I have a 2 terabyte drive that I work from that keeps like everything stored, and it backs up to another pair of 1 gig drives that are rated together. What is it? RAID 0, where if one of them fails, you don't lose the information.
Is it in a stripe?
That's a RAID 1, isn't it?
RAID 1 is where they have exact duplicates of each other, and
they show
RAID
up as one
5
drive.
They
show up as one drive, and if I lost anything on one of the drives, it would fail. I don't lose, so it's mirrored, I guess.
I thought that was a RAID 2.
How many drives do you have?
2. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you're RAID 1.
that's the setup I've got. So I use Time Machine to back up to that, and eventually I'm going to set up some sort of a network attached storage or a server or something like that. But this Backblaze does sound kind of interesting. I may look into that. I've never been a fan of cloud computing, but offsite backup, like large capacity backup, stuff like that. I mean, as a fail-safe, it's worth $6 a month? Yeah. So
yeah, they have deals once in a while. They'll have
and the encryption is really well. And so far, they're one of the few companies that haven't been publicly shamed by a data breach or a hack or some kind of ridiculous stuff. So
and they do an excellent report on hard drive reliability tests.
Oh, yeah.
Jay is it's like Christmas for him when that report comes out.
Yeah, I buy my hard drives based on their reports. They have the quarterly reports. They have tens of thousands of hard drives in use, and they publish the stats like these are the drives that suck, these are really good, these are kind of in between, and then I go on eBay or Amazon and I buy those drives, and so far I haven't had a hard drive fail in years, knock on wood.
Now I think what is a good thing to mention, and this is a tool that we mentioned last week, and I started using it right away. The tool is called Disk Catalog Maker, and there's a few different apps that do this, but essentially what this will do, and this is great because it's good to have a hard drive that's an external or whatever, but what if that fails or you lose it or it breaks and you don't even know what's on it? Well, Disk Catalog Maker does exactly what it sounds like. It makes a catalog, an index of your drive, and you save all these catalogs to like a library on your computer, or you could save it wherever. It's just a file. But essentially it will dive down into directories. You could have it save thumbnails and previews and all this stuff. Obviously the more bells and whistles you turn on, the longer it takes to scan this stuff. But what's really cool about it is, I have, let's say, a shoebox of old hard drives that are IDE ones. They're from old computers. I don't really access them that often, but I know there's some good stuff on there. Well, if I don't want to just go and say, is this one there? Plug it in. Nope. Is this one there? Plug it in. Nope. And waste a lot of time. Yeah, I could do that. Or if they're all cataloged with this piece of software, I could just go in there and I could do a search. So Jay turned me on to that piece of software. Very cool idea. And Bruce is waiting as well. Oh, okay. Well, both of you guys. One of you find gentlemen with the headphones on.
By the way, we have overlays now. We know what we're talking about. See that?
And one other thing I wanted to mention, obviously, for anyone who's wanting to set up a little local NAS, I've been using a cheap little Synology one for a while, and I've been really happy with it. Didn't cost much money.
I've looked into that too. Yeah,
lots of support. They're
I heard a few people talk about free NAS. What's that?
Yeah, so
look into that?
So Synology, I'll tell you about that one too. But Synology, I have the same thing. I have an old one. It's from like 2011 or whatever. It works okay, but the software is not supported anymore. But I've been looking into FreeNAS because I want to do that. Basically, it's like an operating system you install on a computer. I think you can put it on a Mac too. But essentially, it's running its own OS, and it does a lot of the things Synology does. It has a bunch of little apps on there to help manage stuff. You could time machine back up to it and all this other stuff like that. So it gives you the ability to do a lot of these things that, something like Synology would, but you're paying a lot of money to Synology for their hardware and their software, where FreeNAS is you sort of build your own and bring your own hardware and you got to figure out some of the stuff yourself. But the software, from what I understand, is pretty solid.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Anything else on backups?
I mean, I can go on for hours about this stuff.
Well, this is why we were going to do a show dedicated to it, isn't it?
I noticed that the topic in the show notes says, "What about non-digital stuff?" Maybe we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say because
there's a bunch of options for.
Well, there's the next topic as well.
Digitizing your non-digital.
That's what we were saying. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
How are we doing? We've got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, so let's do our game round. Does that
Let's
sound
do the
good,
game
guys?
round.
Let's do that.
All right. So Jay, why don't you start us off on the game round there?
All right. We had a few submissions.
Oh, wait, sorry. Just quick. If nobody knows what the game round is, we're gonna say a thing. You say "eep" if you've done it. You say "quack" if you haven't done it. You've probably seen us do it before. Sorry, Jay. Continue.
So rude. This one was submitted by Trina on Discord. Have you ever sent a text or email that was meant for someone to the wrong person? And I added, the more embarrassing, the better.
Eep. Yep.
All right. Elaborate.
I don't think there's anybody in the world that hasn't done that yet.
Yeah. I got
He's giving us a big eep.
One of my customers sent me a message the other day saying, "I love you."
Oh.
Well, Bruce, I like your support and everything.
You're like, thank you.
Good night. I love you.
Yeah.
You should have responded, "I'm still not giving you a discount."
I mean, he contacted me. He contacted me the next day, sort of obviously very embarrassed and very apologetic, but it still made me chuckle.
Oh boy, I've done that where I'm complaining about something and I accidentally message the person I'm complaining about. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
Let's walk that back.
Yeah. I think we got lots of eeps on that one. Has anyone ever done the sort of reply all when they meant to just reply to one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Big eep on that one. This
I
asshole was
something I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
I have one that's not on the list. It just came to
Yeah, I
mind.
probably will.
And this is fun. I love trolling, doing these kind of trolls. When there's a group email and you reply all that says, "Unsubscribe me," and then you get 500 emails from people saying, "Unsubscribe me," pissing people off. I do that all the time. Well, I used to.
That's funny.
That's a good one.
All right, so I'll take the next one here. Have you ever used a terminal command and accidentally destroyed data or lost data on a device that you have?
No.
Quack.
Eep, I think I've done that. Yeah.
I stay away from terminal, period.
I've seen
I
other
haven't
people
lost
use
anything
that,
important.
however, which is
I
fine.
don't use terminal to manage files. It's just too easy to screw something up. I think.
I think that's an eep for me because I probably removed a folder like accidentally, but it wasn't anything like vital. I didn't do like a RM star. And
Yeah, just make sure you always put sudo in front of it. That's the tip.
We get you on record saying that, Bruce.
Sudo and just delete the
Yeah,
system folder. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
You don't
terminal.
need
It could be a command line. Same business.
I don't know who put in the next one, but that's just mean.
Okay, yeah, that's.
I'll be
Oh,
happy
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I can read that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Dana.
Have you ever spent hours troubleshooting an issue only to discover that it was a simple problem like the power switch or power strip not being on, or something plugged into the wrong spot? Eep. If you try turning it off and on again.
Jay hides. The reason I put that in is when I was a kid, we had the Power Mac 7500 and had an old VCR set up to it, and that was the kid's computer. And my friend came over, and I'm like, "Look, I could play videotapes and record them on the computer." And I'm plugging things in and going, "Why isn't it working?" Blah, blah. I had the in into the out by mistake. But the simplest solution, and I was rebooting the thing. I was taking away extensions and all this stuff. And nope.
Yeah, this is second quack, and I don't believe a word of it.
One of the ones that happens to me.
One
One of the ones that happens to me. It was something that happened to me, and then I remembered that this was a thing, and then I came back and forgot about it, and it happened to me again. And that is, when I was working on like a 17-inch MacBook Pro, And 17-inch MacBook Pros use a huge amount of power, and obviously you need the big, the 85-watt sort of power supply for it and everything. And I'm diagnosing this problem, and I'm trying to fix it up, trying this and that and the other, plugging it in, not working, plugging it in, it's not working, and then the sudden realization that if you don't have if you have a smaller power supply, it will work if it's got a battery in it. But unless you've got an 85-watt power supply, the computer will not start without the battery. There's not enough power in that power supply. And just, this thing, it's still dead. This thing's still dead. It's not working. And then just that sudden realization, hang on, grab an 85-watt power supply, plug it in, boom, away she goes. Nothing wrong with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we look to you for troubleshooting help. Unbelievable.
He's going to suggest I just throw my Quadra into a pool of acid. No, I'll fix it.
Yeah. Oh, those 840.
Well, it'll fix it in a very permanent way.
Yes, it'll fix it. Fix my problem of fixing it. All right, so here's another one. And I think this is a safe one by all of us. Have you ever been zapped by electronics, a CRT, or a computer? Eep.
Quack.
Eep.
Oh, come on, Jeff.
Wait.
Nope.
No, BS.
Not
I
even
don't
a
always
static
hook up the
zap.
ground cables, but I've never been zapped. It may fry, it may
By
smoke,
anything.
but I've never been zapped.
By anything.
I've never been zapped by a CRT, but with the old Mac Pluses and that when you take the side panel off the analog board, I have sometimes got a little bit careless about the live part of that board. There's only a little section on the analog board that if it doesn't have the cover on it, you're looking at your full sort of AC volts, and I've had a few issues time with that.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
I've had a few power supply caps zing me a
Eep.
few times, but
Yeah.
there you go.
Taking apart
I've been
the
tased
power
before.
supply.
That's an electronic.
There you go.
So,
Yep.
eep.
There you go.
I remember holding a power book, and I was holding the screen. I had partially taken apart. I turned it on. I'm like, why are my fingers burning a little bit? I had them right on the caps. It's right on there.
Oh my
Won't make that mistake again.
Ouch.
I used to have a MacBook Pro that had a grounding issue, and when I put my hands on the palm rest, I would get this tingling in my arms. It turns out that
I've had that.
there was power going through the damn case. I mean, it wasn't a zap.
It's
but-
a power book.
One of those low
I've had
voltage
other
things
people
where you're
talk
like,
about
whoa,
that.
hold on a minute. Yeah.
All
Now,
right,
Jay, you
next
said
one.
you got tased. Was it on purpose or?
Yeah. A friend of mine bought a taser. Like, let me see this thing, and he's like, okay.
It wasn't the
Okay.
kind with the
No. It's not the
it's the
barbs
one they
that
stick
shot
on
out.
your arm and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the voice of God is speaking to us again.
Wait.
Well, I have one I just thought of for the Eeps in Quacks,
Uh-oh.
and it has
Okay.
something.
Please tell us.
Have you ever pretended to actually get electrocuted to freak someone out?
Yeah.
That's an Eep for me.
All the friggin' time.
It doesn't get old.
That would be an E. Yes. I've done that.
I made it look
Or-
very
or if
convincing
somebody-
because I did the pretend spaz out, and then I whacked my elbow on something, and then I was really in pain, so I made it look really convincing.
Or if your buddy is working on like a light switch or something and you stand there and go, "Psst."
Oh yeah.
Steve's
that's
Steve's
deep.
great. When Steve's removing caps, that's always fun. You just go pop.
Yeah, both you and Steve do this really cute squeal when something pops. It doesn't get
I
old.
did that to my ex one time. We were messing around. Me and my ex-father-in-law were messing around the power box outside the house, and she came walking around. And I was like, it's just like
That's why it's an X.
Oh yeah, we're all done. We're all done.
Oh boy. All right. So next.
I'm gonna
one
read the
is-
next one.
Yes, please do.
We have one in the chat actually.
You do?
Have you ever got burned by a soldering iron?
Yeah.
Like once a week.
An hour ago.
Yeah. The longer you
Don't
use
get burned at least once a week. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever plugged the wrong cable into something and either 1, damaged the port or the cable, or 2, fried the devices or broken it?
Whack.
Hmm.
Eep eep.
I have to eep that one. Jay even knows I can eat that one multiple times.
You know what? I have, now that I think about it. It was a week after I got my brand new PowerBook 3400, and I plugged a pair of powered speakers into it, not knowing that they were powered and that the MacBook has its own power for headphones. And the headphone jack never worked again.
I imagine most of these EEPs are coming from this whole. I've never had it, but the printer and the SCSI being the same kind of port or something.
The parallel.
Parallel
yeah.
SCSI.
And the SCSI.
Looking very similar, yeah.
And of course, one
They look
classic
similar,
one
but they're
was the old the Mac 128K 512K Mac Plus. It had keyboard, and the keyboard cable looks like the same cable that you use for a phone, you know, that runs from the headset down to the base station. 4 pins, that little RJ 4-pin thing. Except on the phone, the wires are that way, and on the keyboard, the wires are that way.
Yeah,
and if you use a phone cable on the keyboard, they look the same with a little coiled up and everything like that. And they plug in the same. You plug them in and you fry the keyboard.
Yeah.
Bang. Instantaneous.
Now is this? What was the question? The wrong cable. What if you plug in the right cable of the right device, the right everything, but you mess it up on purpose? Does that count?
Well, that's still an EEP.
Okay,
EEP. You went the extra mile. We'll give you the EEP.
I used to keep an external eyesight on hand. Any computer you plugged it into would instantly fry the entire board. And, yeah.
Wow. Go to your boss's machine. Can I try something?
I'm looking at mine very cautiously now.
Oh yeah, I don't trust.
Same here.
Taking it to the Apple Store. Try it out a few
times.
times.
That's when Apple came in handy. When the whole policy was, 5 logic board fixes, you get a new one. Said this makes 5. Let's have it.
Oh boy! All right, next one. How have you ever accidentally upgraded to a newer operating system because the software update language or the dialog box was not worded properly?
Quack.
No. Quack.
I almost did.
I'm not even sure I've ever
That's a
seen
quack.
that.
So I know I mentioned this because I just installed Mojave and I almost upgraded to Catalina by clicking the wrong button. I'm like, no.
Well, iOS is sneaky about it. It says there's an update available, and you say cancel, and then it assumes you want to do it later, and in very small print at the bottom is like, do it later.
Yeah.
Sneaky bastard.
Yes, they are. They're
Let's
very
take the last
sneaky
one.
on that. I'll take it. Why not? So last one. Have you ever typed your password into the username field of a website or app and accidentally exposed it to the world?
Oh,
Bonus points if you were projecting.
Yeah.
Sharing the screen.
Yep. I've done it. Like I'm talking on iMessage or whatever messenger, and I'm switching over to a website, switch, and then like, oh, pop up, password. Oh, I just sent my mother-in-law my password. I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well,
if you're not a tech if you haven't done that at least once or twice in your life.
Yes. Now, very quickly here, I have 2 links for what were they smoking, if we'll allow that.
Did we already do this first one?
Did we?
I don't know. Go ahead, because I've
it
seen it many times, and I thought we did it already, so I didn't
okay.
put it.
Yeah, but you live on eBay. You might have seen it many times.
Well, this first one. So.
Sorry. I just saw them.
I put in the link.
Crazy.
Here. So this is a Apple Macintosh Workgroup Server 80 on eBay, untested but complete, and they want a mere $7,300 for it. But you get free shipping.
Free shipping. Yep.
Can I buy one of
It's
the
in
bezels?
California, so it might be ash.
Can I buy one?
It's only $305 a month for 2 years.
Oh, there,
oh my god,
that makes sense. Easier.
I'll happily pay for shipping if I get a $7,000 discount on it.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a CD-ROM. Look at that.
This same guy has Microsoft Windows version 1 sealed, and he wants $12,500 for it.
What?
So
Really?
this guy must be smoking up some good stuff here.
So
He's got a fairly good like feedback record there. 100% positive feedback on 3,800 sales.
Yeah,
So
he'll
he's only
probably
started
private
smoking
message them and
recently.
say, "I'll give you a $500 discount if you buy it now."
I don't think he's going to sell these.
But I'm always very suspicious of a device that is sold as untested that will run using the power cord from a kettle. It's not like there's a lot involved to test it. I mean, it could just be a matter of saying, like, I don't have a screen, but when I plug it in and press the button, it chimes. It's like even that would be a plus for people.
If you
But
go to the second picture, I think I pretty much see a power cord in the background there.
Yeah. So, which essentially means untested means it doesn't work.
You're probably right on that. I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has a keyboard in the background, a power strip, and what looks like a tool bench or something. This guy is selling some other computer stuff. He could test the darn thing.
Somebody message him and say, "Did you put the decimal in the wrong place?"
Did you sneeze as you were filling that out?
So I think this guy is smoking. Let's see. You know the
face plates.
Grounded up broken face plates, bezels.
Yep.
That's a good one, Jay. I think that one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he's definitely smoking the shavings off of him.
Yeah.
You know what? At that price, I'm going to say it's straight up blue meth.
No being
Is
around
like,
the
I've
bush, huh?
seen this before.
He and some
That
kid
blue
from the high
smoke.
school are cooking in the basement or an RV somewhere, and he's smoking a bunch of it.
Melting down freaking electrolytic capacitors and huffing it up. Yeah, there we go.
Delicious. All right, so I think
Oh, good one.
good one. Well, I think we have to end it on a high note there.
Yeah, we got a few topics and
They didn't hear that?
stuff left over,
I don't
but
know.
we're gonna have to do that next week.
Obi-Wan said it was a reefer capacitor.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for us. Anybody have anything cool going on? Shameless self-promotion, fun type stuff that you want to say that you're doing this week, next month?
Nope.
I'm gonna shamelessly continue
I'm
to
gonna be-
work on my health.
I'm going to be
Good on-
recapping Mac 2 on Sunday,
Oh.
probably. So,
Watch that.
I have one to recap too.
Watch
awesome.
both.
We'll do competing
And
battles.
I'm also going to be doing a live stream where I go very closely over someone else's recapping work.
Oh, who would that be?
I hope it's not me.
It's not you.
Oh, good.
Is it that guy right above you? Is it the guy above you there, Spruce? Is it the guy above you, maybe?
It's not you. It's not Steve. It's not Dana. And it's not Rocky.
I haven't sent him mine yet.
Sorry, yes, no, that will be Sunday my time, so it will be Saturday night. I would have liked to have done it tomorrow, but I've already got a prior engagement, so it'll be Sunday morning my time, which will be Saturday evening US time. So.
I mean, why wait? We're about to wrap up here. The floor is all yours.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to, but unfortunately, I've got other things on.
Well, thank you everybody for your shameless self-promotions. So one thing I want to do before we give out the Discord link is I am putting GT's Mac Attack YouTube channel link in the chat. Please give him a subscribe. He was kind enough to rescue us here. And he has an excellent video on installing OpenCore, which if you want to do that, you got to watch it. Over 5,000 views cannot be wrong. So there you go. So make sure you subscribe to Mac Yak, Mac Attack, and Mac Yak. Do both. Subscribe to everything. And I'm gonna put the Discord link in here too. So we are on Discord. Oh, Jay's got it already. Thank you, Jay. So we are on Discord. If you want to join our Discord, a lot of you are already in there, but feel free to do that. GT is mimicking the overlay, so we'll just pretend that it's overlaying.
It's actually there.
Oh, it is.
I'm just way behind everybody else. So.
Yeah, I
don't see it.
To the club. So that's it. Thank you, GT, for saving our butts here. And we still have that giveaway going on for the MacBook. So watch episode 69 if you want to know the details of that. You have to watch the video to know how to enter the giveaway. It's not just a MacBook. It's a MacBook. It's an iPod Mini. There's a $50 Steam card, I think, in there. And I'll throw a boot in there or something. I don't know. But we'll go from there. But I hope you enjoed watching everything. And hope you enjoyed tinkering around and I don't know what we're doing. We're talking, doing stuff. Dana's doing stuff. We're all doing stuff. But
Dana's not doing stuff.
Dana's not doing stuff. Well, he will soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
thank you for joining us on another crazy episode of Mac Yak. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for all your comments and your chat along with us. And we'll say goodbye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.